It's April, so it's time for a monthly check-in. So I've been trying to check in every month and just let you know the progress I've made on some of my projects and then maybe some new projects that I've worked on. So the first thing I want to share with you are these bags that I've made. I've been having fun making bags, and this one I decided to put like a faux leather on. I just got it at Joann Fabrics. And then I used a quilt batting on the inside for like a stabilizer. So this was super fun to make, just a little zipper bag. And then I liked making that one, so I made these green ones. These ones will be gifts. So they're a little different shade of green. So I made these for gifts. And then I went to one of my quilt shops and they had a little bag like this on display. And so my son was with me and he wanted me to make him one. So I came home, I looked up a pattern and I made him this tiny little bag. This one called for interfacing, so it's like really squishy and I feel like it doesn't hold its shape as well. I think soft and stable would have been maybe better in this one, but he does like it. It just holds little trinkets and stuff, and it was fun to work with even though it's so small. It was still really fun to work with. So those are, let's see if I can hold all these up. Those are the 4 bags that I made. I made some quilt blocks. I have the intentions to put these quilt blocks on sweatshirts, but I have not put these on sweatshirts yet, as you can tell. But so here's one quilt block. This pattern came from the Lori Holt book, her Farm Girl Vintage book. I just love her books. And then this one is a bear paw block, and I found the pattern on Pinterest. I can't remember what website, but on Pinterest. So these both finish at 12 inches, well, 12.5 inches unfinished. And I plan to put these on sweatshirts. Okay, so in one of my other videos, I shared that I was working on some teen quilts, teen boy quilts with my scraps. The stack is getting big, so it's hard to hold. And so what I did is I just used this checkerboard pattern of piecing, and it's actually strip piecing, so it makes it go faster. So what it was I took 2 strips, one brown, one background fabric, and they were 2.5 inches by 11 inches, and I sewed them together, and then I cut them up and staggered them to get the checkerboard look. And this pattern is from Red Pepper Quilts, but I wanted to use up my scraps, and I wanted to make some teen boy quilts because I do have some teen boys in my family, and I thought maybe I could make them quilts. And I often find most of the quilts I make are lean towards like the feminine side. So I went through my scrap bins. I found all the blue, green, brown, and I think there is some gray in here. And those are all scraps. Now the background fabric, not all of it is scraps. There was a piece that I had less than a yard that I cut up and used. And then I did go and get some scraps of background fabric, like the whites and the creams from my scrap bin. But I can say that 100% of the brown, green, gray, and black fabric is from my scrap bin. And that was my goal, to make some quilts using up those scraps. So my goal this year, well, and I have kind of been working on it the last few years, is to just dig into my scrap bins and make scrappy projects. So I actually have a page in my notebook. I'm keeping track of what scrap projects I make. And so this will go on that list. It's just fun to use the scraps up, and then I have more room in my bin because I feel like every time you make a project, I do, and I'm sure you guys do, but I just keep adding to those scrap bins and they become overflowing, or the lids won't close because I keep mine in these buckets that have lids. But anyway, so I just did these 16 patch blocks, and they were fun to make. They go together easy. They nested together easy with the pressing of the iron, the way they were pressed. And so I didn't have to do a ton of pinning, but I was able to use up a lot of scraps. So my plan is to take this stack. I have not counted it, but if I did my math right, there should be enough blocks here. And my plan is to turn this into 2 teen boy quilts. And I'm not rushed on that. I don't have really a plan when I'm gonna do that. I really just wanted to get these blocks done and get these scraps sewn up. So I'm happy that I did that. Okay, and then I have been working on my blue and white quilt. So my plan is to make a blue and white quilt sometime in the future. I'm slowly making blue and white blocks, and I want to make the quilt kind of like a sampler quilt. So I'm hoping that not every block, well, let me rephrase that. I'm hoping that no blocks will repeat themselves. So no patterns will be the same. And so I did work on last month. I don't know that I did any blue and white blocks. I don't think I did any blue and white blocks last month. So I thought this month I need to make some blue and white blocks to add to my stack. I think now I'm up to 10 or 11. I can't remember, but I did make some. So here you go. So there's the first one. And these are 12, when I get these into the quilt, they will be 12-inch blocks. So my plan is to make all the blocks 12 inches so that it's easier, so that it ends up being easier to sew them into a quilt. Instead of having varied sizes, I want these all to be one size. So 12-inch blocks. Isn't this one fun? I think it turned out so good. This one was a lot of fun too. And you can see I kind of have it shoved in a bag, so it needs to be pressed, but. And this one, last one. So I added those 5 blue and white blocks to my stack of blocks. That's done. I did start another project. So I mentioned at the beginning of the year that I want to make this quilt. This is on my list to make. I love running dough quilts. I think she does a great job. And these pattern cards you can buy online by Villa Rosa Designs, and they're only $2 a card. And when I have bought these from the website, they shipped them to me for free. So I thought that was nice. But I mentioned in one of my previous videos that I wanted to make this quilt. And so I went and bought fabric and I cut the quilt out. So those are my quilts. I'll hold it up here. You can see like the pencils, and then those are my fabrics. So this green is from, well, it's like a turquoise. It's from the Sherry and Chelsea line, one of their newest lines. And then I have the pink in there, the yellow. Let's see, where's the gray? Buried in here, because I know I cut, oh, here we go. And I did this plaid and then a solid gray for those pencil ends. So if I hold it up like this, maybe you can see a little better. Whoops, and I'm trying to cover in the pink. I got this quilt cut out, so that will be sewn up here. Hopefully, my plan is by the end of May on that quilt, on this pointless quilt. The end of May, I'd like to get it sewn. All right, and the last 2 things I want to share with you are these graduation quilts. So here's the back of the quilt, and I have been talking about these graduation quilts. I know I have 2 family friends that are graduating in May, and I wanted to make quilts. So I'm just going to show this to you a little bit, and then I will insert a picture so you can see it in its entirety. But this is the Moda Love quilt, and this is the back on the quilt. And I made a log cabin quilt and added a border. And this is the back on this quilt. Now on this log cabin, I was able to put this backing on the entire thing. On the Moda Love quilt, I had to piece the back, so let me find it. So there is actually this fabric on here as well. So you can see both the fabrics here. And I did add quilt labels to both those quilts. So they are 100% ready to be gifted. So I did the binding, I added labels. I free motion quilted them on my home machine, my Juki, and they're ready to go. So I'm super excited to have both these quilts ready to go. It's hard. I wish I had an easier way to show these to you guys, but super happy that I got these done. So these are my finishes, these quilts, the bags. I got my blocks pieced together. I made some blue and white blocks, and I made 2 blocks to put on some sweatshirts. And then my new project I started was just cutting out this quilt. So I had a lot of fun in March. I hope to get this quilt done in the next couple months, so like April and May, hopefully by the end of May. Hope to get this done so I can gift it to a school teacher. Those are my finishes for the month of March, and I'm glad I could check in and share with you guys and just let you know where I'm at in my projects. And it's fun to like see my progress along the way throughout the months and see how I can accomplish things and get things done. Thanks for watching this monthly check-in. See you next time. Bye.